Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jack. Guess what came in the mail today? That's right, my wooden dowels that I'm making my roll cage out of for my RC car. Now it's the same diameter of the steel one, or titanium, or stainless. Haven't decided what material I'm going to be making the roll cage out of, but these wooden dowels are the same diameter as the metal that I'll be using for the actual roll cage. So this will be an exact replica. So we're gonna have to go ahead and pretty much trim. I think I got like 30 or 40 feet on Amazon. It was very cheap. If you still happen to get them off Amazon, this is the box that it came in. Pretty big box, right? Now, this is 3/16 diameter wooden dowels if you guys want to order them yourself. So before I make the roll cage, you guys might ask, well, how are you gonna make a roll cage with no car? Well, that's where it kind of gets tricky. Now, here's the body that I'm going to be using. It's a Proline Ford Raptor body. Now you guys can see the wheel cutouts. This was a pre-built body already on eBay that I got used, lightly used. Now, I think before we're gonna do anything, we're gonna cut this part of the body out with probably a Dremel or a razor blade. Probably a razor blade of some sort to avoid melting. Dremels tend to heat up. Probably will burn the plastic around it. So probably stick to a razor blade and we'll cut this out. I have the rear end complete and I have all the components that are gonna hook up to the back half of the chassis. So I can set that there and then see how far it extends. And then that will be the back half of the chassis. And then I have the front block and the arms and everything, so I can kind of get an idea of where the front half's gonna go, and then kind of go from there. But I'm probably just gonna build half the portion today and go from that. And I should clarify half the portion as in the front cab of the roll cage. So from probably this point to this point, maybe even back half, and then eventually work my way to the front. We're gonna have to do shock towers and things like that. So you guys, I'll show you how to do that. It's gonna be pretty tricky. There is some parts that we use to kind of help this build make it easy. We could buy shock towers and make it super easy, but it's gonna all be custom. So you know, why not just make it all custom yourself and avoid buying some of the parts, because it'd be kind of fun to line things up. So the shock towers and the body stuff and the pins and bolts and everything. So it's gonna be kind of cool to make everything myself. So get to it. All right, guys. So we got the Dremel with my little cutoff wheel, and we're going to Dremel the whole body real quick. I'm not going to cut exactly as far as I want to go, just enough to kind of start, and then maybe, you know, sand the rest down so I don't really melt the body as much. We're going to make this quick, so let's get to it. Alright, so we butchered up the Proline body. I have the rear axle kind of sitting where I would like the wheels to kind of be. Give or take, I could always adjust where the body will be mounted to by changing where the actual piece of the body. So see those screws? This is a, you know, like I said, a used body. I can always adjust where the body sits on the chassis just by drilling a new hole, or even moving the bracket with a hammer and heating up the metal, maybe possibly. You know, there's always 100 different ways you can move things. So let's take a peek at the back here. That's the rear end of the
car. Now, I'm gonna assume these pieces, since I have the rear end, you know, everything is here for me to kind of mock up initially where the chassis is going to kind of connect to the rear end. So I'm gonna have to pretty much weigh in all my options here and see which one's the shortest, which one's the longest. You know, we can always adjust these upper arms here. You can always add in a bracket too off the back of the roll cage. I gotta see how people do this, man, because like I gotta do some homework again. But because I thought this stuff was more visible, to be honest. I think these guys, do they cut their wheels back more? I thought I was like, maybe it's because there's no cage on it right now, or not cage, body. I think the body's throwing me off. But yeah, so I'm kind of assuming that I'm gonna have a chassis line start around right here, and then I'm gonna go forward. I have the front end bulk and things like that, so I can kind of get a rough estimate on where. But honestly, I'm just gonna get the dimensions just for the wooden dowels to make a roll cage. I'm not worried about the chassis right now, just to kind of start the initial base from the line forward, maybe even until about the front, just to kind of get the initial chassis done. So all I have to do is add on to the front. So what I'm saying is build a roll cage from the back half to about right here, just to get this initial part done. And then all I have to do is work on the front and work on the rear. Rear will be easy. The front will be a little hard because I will have shocks to mount as well as the rear, but I think the front will be a little bit more difficult because you have the skid plate and things like that. So definitely a lot of work to do. I'll keep you guys posted on what's going on, and let's get to the next part. So a quick car update. Started building a roll cage. You guys can tell this would be like for the driver passenger side door. Didn't really get too detailed because I still don't have the chassis yet, and I don't want to build a roll cage on something I don't know yet. So chassis will be here this week. Then I'm waiting for a few other things. Transmitter and receivers coming. Still have yet to order an engine, but this came in my all metal servo I'll be using. I went to my local hardware store as well. Got some nuts and bolts and things like that. I pretty much bolted up the suspension to the front, but there's a little bit of a gap, so I'm gonna have to get some spacers or make some or whatever. So that's that. This will be the bulkhead, and there's definitely a lot of space on the bulkhead, as you can see. So spacers there. Waiting for those pins. Those pins will be here this week actually. And for the car itself, drive shaft came in, which was cool. Don't know if I talked about that already. Just waiting for like a pin or until I go back to my local hardware store to get a pin for that, so it's locked in there. Yeah, pretty much it. So the next update video will be featuring pretty much the chassis and potentially start of the roll cage build. Pretty much piecing all these together with nuts and bolts. That will be another thing. And yeah, so I think that's gonna be it for this update. Catch you guys in the next one.